চকুৰ ভাষাটো নাই মৰম খনা লাহনি মুখনি খৰল মনা মৰমে বিচৰা হিয়াৰে লগৰী তুমি মোৰে কল্পনা হা,
So, hello, I'm again back. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, as suit yourself with your time zone. So, this is not my part actually, this is Koshakar's part, but actually, he will teach you about machine learning. But I'm here to show you the basics of Python and the basics like the variables and functions or the lists, tuples, dictionaries, sets, all these things, which will be necessary if you would take it as a broader aspect. But in machine learning, to be precise, it will be not be used so much. But you have to get that knowledge. So, so what is Python? Python is a scripting language. Now, what do you mean by scripting languages? Scripting languages are those languages which are interpreted and not compiled, like Java or C++, even JavaScript. JavaScript is a scripting language. So Java, C, C++, they all are uh, compiled. Okay, and Python being a scripting language, they are interpreted. So, like every programming language, Python also has variables, but the only difference is that, and I don't think it's good, but yes, that in Java and C and C++, you have to state a data type like int for integers, string for strings, and double or float for that point decimal types. But in Python, and in JavaScript, you can say that we don't have that. We have var or let or const. But in Python, the default basic data type is string. So if you don't state any data type, it will be stated as a string. The input you take, it will be stated as a string. But if you typecast it to integer or any other data type, then it will be taken as then it will be executed as that data type. So I'll show you that. So now the data types in Python, there's many like all they are all same like other programming language. I don't think I have to say that like int for integers, string. Here we don't use string like in Java we use string, but here we use str for string and uh, and yes, the others are same. So taking input from user, I'll show you. Okay, so let's just move to lists and then I'll show you all these things. Okay, so lists are used to store multiple items in a single variable. uh, it is one of the four data types. Others are tuple, dictionary, and sets. And lists has some very use and useful list methods, like I can say these: append, clear, insert, index, remove, count, pop, sort, and reverse, and many others. Okay, there are many others. I will not limit you with these functions. So append is used to append or insert a value from the end in the list. Clear is used to clear the list, that is to empty the list. Insert is used to insert an element at the index that will be stated as a parameter, and index is used to get the index of an element in the list. Remove is used to remove an element as stated as a parameter, as stated as an index in the parameter. Count is to count the element in the list. Pop is same as remove, but in pop the elements are removed from the end of the list always, so it does not take any parameters. Sort is to sort the list in by default it sorts by in ascending order, and reverse is to reverse the string. That pretty basic. And now a monkey will say to, my god, let's go to coding. And now I'll move to the coding part. So yes, first I'll show you how to make a folder. So here is my command prompt. I think it's visible. Wait a second. Okay, our command prompt is visible. So now I'll show you how to make a directory. So if I type here pwd, it will not work. So it shows that it is not a recognized as an internal or external command. So why? Because pwd is a bash command, and we are using as in this as a Windows terminal. So pwd is not will not be executed here. But the working of pwd is to print the work directory. So it prints the working directory or the directory we are presently present. So we'll first move to desktop. So we'll cd into what is cd? CD is change directory. So we'll cd into desktop. So I'll just write the initials de and then tab. So it gets the point where to go and which directory to print. So desktop, and then I'll move to desktop, and then I'll make a directory named mkdir. So mkdir is to make a directory. So make a directory named Python programs, and then I'll cd into it. So just write the initials py and then Python programs and great, and then we'll write code and dot. So code and dot will move us to the VS Code part. So VS Code has opened. So I'll just make a file named hello underscore world, of course, dot py dot py. And now let's just take a input. So just suppose I will take an input named like hello. So I'll not write any data type for this, and then equals to an input. So if it was mine is Python 3.6, if I think it's 3.7, I think I updated. So it's 3.7. You can install. I'll give you the link in the description. So to install, from where to install Python and how to install, it's pretty clear there in the site. So in 2 points of the Python, you had to write raw like this. Raw, sorry, raw underscore. But in 3.6, you just have to write input, and from this input, you can take an input. That's pretty simple. Like in Java, you had to write a whole year input, that scanner class. Then from the scanner class, you had to create an object. From that object, you had to call a function named next line t or next line, and from there you could have taken an input. But here it's pretty simple input. So by default, it takes a string. Now, if I print this hello, let's just see what happens. So I run using F5 and Python file. I'll select it, and just open this terminal. So I write something, my name I suppose, or let's start with hello world. I write hello world and it prints hello world. Great. Not that great, but yes. So let's just remove it. We have learned how to take inputs and printing the statements using print. Now let's just move to list. So hello, sorry for the interruptions, and let's just make a list. So to make a list, you just have to type. Now let me say that list is a constructor and not a keyword. It's important because here you can type list as a variable. So if I type list here, it can take it as a variable and not a constructor because I've not mentioned the parenthesis. From here, it will take an argument and some more arguments, but if we don't write anything, it will take it as a variable. But you can't use the variables for keywords like in is a keyword, and is a keyword, or is a keyword. So if you write those, it will not be allowed in Python or any other languages. So list, as list is a constructor, I can take it as a variable. So let us make a list like one with a third bracket. So 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5, and let's just see how it prints. So we'll print the list, and great, printed the list to us. You can see it here. So this is not exciting at all for me, I suppose. So I'll take an input from the user. Okay. So how to take an input from the user? To take an input from the user, uh, if you're taking integer inputs, so you have to map. So what is map? Mapping is used to apply a filter, apply a sorry data type or anything to all the elements of the list. Okay. So how to do that? So first we'll use first I'll take a list. This is a list. This list is a keyword. Let's not confuse. First I'll write another thing. So okay. So if I write this list one, okay, this list one. If I remove the one, it will also be a keyword. Sorry, it will also be a variable. If I write list one, it will also be a variable. So to remove your doubts, I'll go with list one. Okay, and then list as a constructor, and list as a constructor, and then I will map. So I'll map what? I'll map the data type int to all the elements of the list. So how to take the input? I'll take the input as again input and then parenthesis. So if I take want to take the input in a single line, okay, so then I'll just use a split. Now what is split? It is just used to split the inputs and store them in a list. So I'll do this, and yes, it's done. So let's go, and it tells me to write. Okay, one more addition. For input, you can write here a message also, like enter the elements of the list, and from here you can again compile it. Sorry, interpret it. Yeah, I also made that mistake. And then one, then space two, then space three, then space four, then space five. And now if I enter, oh, okay, it prints a class list because see what mistake I've done. I printed list here. I print list one here. Sorry, and again I have to do that thing. One space two space three space four space five, and I get the list. Okay, that's pretty done. Now let's show you some methods that I've shown you. Okay, so I like to work with insert. So insert was is very useful when you have a like these user input things. So if you want to insert something, just write list one here, list one, and then insert, and then the the position. That is, if I want to insert two at position number two at index number two, and then the thing you want to insert, I'll insert my name. Wow. But I don't want to do that. I just insert a number like 10. Okay. So now if I print list one, let's just see what happens. No, just print here first. Then after inserting, let's see what happens. So one, two, three, four, five. See, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as the initial list, and then at index, so this is index 0, 1, and at index 2, we have inserted 10, and then 3, 4, 5 moves to the next places. Okay, so the other methods are pretty simple. You just have to do, now if you want to remove something, just remove like this, remove 10, okay, then it will be removed. Or if you want to pop, sorry, list one, not list one dot pop, so it will pop, and many other you can see them. List one dot sort, it will sort. It's very simple. Okay, so let's just move to other parts. Okay, so the list has been done. Let's show you tuple. What is tuple? Okay, so let's just move to our presentation now. I don't think I missed something. If I miss, I'll again share the screen or tell you. So okay, so yeah, the monkey is done, and now tuples. So tuples are used to store. It's the same thing. Okay, tuples are also used to store multiple items in a single variable, but they're immutable. Now, what do you mean by immutable? Is that you can't change the things. Okay, if you have stored something in the tuple, you can't change them. But frankly speaking, they are generally not used. Okay, you generally use in daily life or practical use, you generally use lists, and for the same case we generally do not use the sets and tuples are just data structures, but we don't use them. The most used are dictionaries and lists. So let's just see, the monkey will appear again, and I'll just show you the basic how to do those. Okay, so let's just move to our VS code. And now tuples. So tuples are done using a tuple is also a constructor, so you can also state it as a variable here. So I'll just name it tuple one to avoid any confusion, and tuple one, and then parenthesis, and then the same as the list, comma four, comma, the space would be better, and space five. So what this will do, it will also print the tuple, and in tuple we use this parenthesis, the first parenthesis. And then if I type print here a tuple 1, we have a tuple. But for me this is not at all exciting. Let's just do the user input one. Okay, the user input one has the same as the list. You have to write a tuple, then map, and what you have to map, like int, or you can map car, or you can map string. The string is not needed because by default it is string, so I'll do with int, or then input, and then split to write it in the same line. and then I'll just and okay, I'll just write a message here to enter the elements of my of the tuple, and then I'll just I think it's visible. Yeah, now it's visible. So one, two, three, four, and five, and here we have a tuple. So yeah, I don't think tuple is so necessary. I'll just jump to the dictionary part. Okay. So yeah, let's just jump to dictionary. Okay, the monkey part is done. The monkey is happy, I suppose. So dictionaries. Dictionaries. Now dictionaries are used to store data values, but in key and value pair. So what is a key and value pair? So a key will store a value. Okay. And when you get the value from that key, so all these things will be stored in a single data type, that is dictionary. Okay. Using a curly braces. So they are also immutable. You can't and then duplicates cannot be present. So they are like sets. I think you all have studied sets, so you can store two keys and two same keys in a single dictionary. Let's just move to code. Yeah, enough of theory. So dictionary also has the same thing. I'll first show you the hard coded way. So if I write dict one equals to and in curly braces, and then I'll add a enter to show it clearly, and then my name. Okay, the name here is a key and the value will be Abhinav. Okay, so what's the use here? What's the beauty of this dictionary? That if I state a number thing like roll number, and now if I give it a value, it can store a value called 26. So in a single thing, in a single data structure, you can store a string as well as a number. So it's very useful that way. And now if I just print my dictionary, let's just remove the tuple part, and then it shows us this name, this roll number, this. That useful. And in the same way, if you want to input something, so the input is tricky. The input I'll show you. The input is we have to write input for each key and each value. Okay, so I'll do one program for this, and input for this for the this key, the value for this key, and then again input again, and input for this this key, the second key. See if I now interpret it, it will be name, then Abhinav, then my role as a key, and then 26. It prints name Abhinav, role 26. Okay, pretty straightforward. So let's just move to the last part and then move to and then I'll show you a program, and then just we'll end this. So yeah, I think our monkey is happy until now. So sets. So what are sets? This is also not used. This is most. I think the most rarely used. I've seen tuples being used, but I have not seen sets being used. I think some of you must use this, and then you may jump onto me that I have used. But yeah, you can use, but they are not mostly used. So sets are used to store multiple items in a single variable. Duplicates here cannot be present as sets are defined so. And unordered and undexed, that is, they do not have any indexes and they're unordered. You can order them. They are not, specific order. And yes, so our monkey will be unhappy. So we just move to the code. And yes, so set is done using a curly braces. Okay, in normal sets also we used curly braces. So set one, I suppose set one, and then it will print suppose my name, and then Sagar's name, and I think then our college name. Enough. Let's just go with this, and then print the set one, and then printing set one will have this pretty thing, but I don't know how to use it. I will not use it. Yes, and to take, so if you don't want to use it like this, you can have using set as a constructor. So if you take set as a constructor, note what I'm doing. Okay, in list, like I show you, in list we used this. In tuple we used this and then just wrote our values, and here I just wrote our values. But in sets we'll have another parenthesis, and then we'll write our values like Abhinav and Kushagra. While have I named it small, I don't know, and then Netaji and Subhash. So now if I print it, it shows us this, the same thing as above. So see, you can see it's unordered. I named the Avinav thing earlier, okay, and then Kushagra, but see the print, Kushagra then Avinav. So yeah, this is all about sets. So I'll just finish off some parts of functions and then show you a lambda function, and then I'll move to a program. Okay, so I'll just quickly finish those. So I'll move the functions. So what are functions? So what all do you have in mind about functions that you have learned in C or C++ or Java or any other programming language is the same here in Python. So functions are block of code that runs when they're called. They're used to minimize the main block of code. Like if you want to print or show the prime numbers only, then you don't have to write again and again the prime that check. You can just call a function and pass the number as a parameter in it. So it is used to minimize the main block. So they might return some data or print values, or they might just print it there itself in the function, and we might pass some parameters or arguments to them. They are also known as signatures. I think you know them. So these parameters or arguments are also known as signatures. So yes, and lambda function will do afterwards. Or let's just do, okay, let's just do a simple function. So function here is used as written as def. So, Asha, I don't think I've told you in class or sorry, in Java or C, you have to write a main function to execute your code. If you don't write a main function, your code will not be executed or run. Okay, it will not be compiled. But in Python, you have the advantage. You don't have to write any specified function like main function. You can just start writing your code, your gibberish code, and it will be compiled. So yes, so just write a function. Okay, wait. Let's take an input first. So let's take an input like my name. Okay, and I'll just take a input my name, and then I'll I'll do. Okay, I we have studied list. Let's just do list. So list one equals to list. I'll take the user input one map int input split. Yes, and then we'll make a function to pop something. Okay, so return val is equals to, I'll name the function pop. No, not pop, pop le. Then I'll just pass the list there. Okay, and now the def pop le and the list that I'm receiving there. You can, this is a local variable, so you can type anything here, but I'll just write list one. And then you have to, in other languages like Java, C++, or C, you have to write like this in curly braces if you want to open a function or any block like if block or while block, for loop block. But here in Python, you have to write in colon, and the colon and the indentation part. The indentation is very important. Now, if I have written a colon here and then start writing my code from here, it will not be considered to be a part of this function. Okay, you have to indent your code like this. So now I'll just list one. Okay, return. Sorry, return list one dot, and okay, and no this and no semicolon. Yeah, and no semicolon. Okay, in Python we don't need that, and then just print our return value. Okay, just give a message to it, it will look nice. The elements of the list. Okay, it's done. And then 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, it has shown an error that pop le is not defined. So just let's just look into it. uh, okay, wrong here was, I've done it afterwards. Now let's just see. Yeah, it's done. So it just see what my function, what the error was, that I declared this function after that I've called it. Okay, so when it is interpreted, it shows that pop ele we have to pass list one, but it did not find any pop ele beforehand. So it was confused. The interpreter was confused where to find this. Okay, so if I so the simple thing was to write the function above where I've called it. Okay, so the return value will be so we see that the pop value is 5. Okay, so let's just move to lambda functions. Okay, now we can also print here like this also. And if now we call this, it will be printed. Okay. So let's just move to lambda functions. Oh, sorry. I don't think you could have seen my screen. Okay. I'll just repeat what I've said. So sorry on my behalf. Okay, I'm still a noob in this. Okay, newbie in this. Okay. So bear with me. So list one has I've just taken an input named list one, okay, and then just I've written a function named pop le to pop this function pops the last element, and then I've just returned the list one and then the pop, okay, the value, and this return value equals to uh, and then this return value equals to I just return a variable named return var equals to pop le and passed list one as a parameter. This list one is this one, and here you can write anything. This is a local variable, so you can write list two or your name, anything. But I'll just prefer writing list one to because this is preferred by programmers to avoid any uses of more number of variables. The more number of variables you have in your program, the less efficient or just less messy it looks. So I'll just use list one and then just print the return value. So I'll just compile again for you because you have not seen anything. Wow. So I'll just enter the elements like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then it returns 5. Like I wanted to show you, I don't think you have seen it. Wanted to show you an error. Okay, now if I write the function below where I've called it, okay, I've called it here, and I'm writing this function below that. Okay, now let's just see what happens. Okay, so if I write, I'll just expand this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. See, there will be an error. The error is name popl is not defined because when the interpreter comes from the above, it and then it sees something is being called. It has not interpreted a thing like popl, so it will not move forward, and it just throws an error that it is not defined. So we have to write this function which we are calling above where we have called, above the place where we have called, and now everything will be all right. Okay. Sorry for that I've not shown you the things. Move to the thing called lambda function. So lambda functions are those functions. So many a times you just have to write a small piece of code. Okay, like just filtering something. So or just typing the getting the even numbers from only the even numbers from a list. So for those things you don't want to write a whole lot of function and then call it and then return it. You don't want that. Okay. So for that we use lambda functions. Okay, so what are lambda functions? They're small functions to execute small operations like taking the even numbers, odd numbers like that, prime numbers, and they can take any number of parameters. But we can have only one expression. Only one expression. You don't like in prime numbers. You have to check also the that the count is greater than zero or not. Okay, so you can't execute prime numbers things, but you can do the odd number thing like it is if mod of 2 is equal to 0, then it is even number, or else it is an odd number. All those things is done. Now let's just enough of this. Let's just move to code. I'll not make the mistake again. Okay, it's so lambda functions. So I'll show you a lambda function. let's just remove this, and suppose I'll take a variable named x. Okay, and in x we write a lambda function with the argument, that the argument that is coming in has to return, this lambda function will return the with a multiple of 2. Okay, the thing that will come, it will multiply with 2. And let's just print and see what happens. It with x, and we'll pass x with 5. Okay, any number you want, but I'll pass 5, and let's just see what happens. See, the return thing is 10. Okay, the return thing is 10 because it we passed 5. The lambda function took the argument that is 5 and then multiplied with it with 2 and then returned it. Okay, so it's pretty simple, and it's very useful when we want to just execute these small operations. So I'll show you one another thing. So I'll just comment it, and then I'll show you a thing like, if I want to make a list, like new list, and then equals to the list formation, like list. And earlier we used map. Okay, now let's just show you a thing which is called filter. So what this filter does is that it filters the thing as we want to do. Okay, first let's make a list first. Let's just make a list one equals to, let's just make it map int input dot, and then I want to filter the elements from this list and then store it in a new list called new list. Okay, so I'll not use a function and then that pop each element of the list one and then pass it in a function, then see if it's odd or even. I'm doing it for even number or not, and then I return it and then I store it. So it's pretty long. Okay, for just a small thing like if it's even or not. So I'll just use a lambda function here. So I'll just do list to make it a list and then filter, and then I'll use lambda and then the argument. Okay, the argument it contains, and this argument has to use a modulus function. So modulus 2 equals to 0 if it's 0. So if it's 0, then we'll store it in the new list, and the thing we are passing is the list, sorry, list 1. I'll just take, okay, the brackets are okay. So now let's just print this. Okay, print this new list. Okay, let's print this also. So there's no confusion. List 1 here. So I'll enter the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So if we pre-assume, then the thing that we will get now is first of all we'll get this list. The new list will contain 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Let's just see. Yes, we got that. 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So it's pretty easy. The one line of code, and we got all of the thing in a single one. So I'll show you one more thing. Okay, I'll show you one more thing. Let's just comment this. And we have seen filter. I'll show you how to use map in this. So new underscore list, and then I print a new list, make a new list using map, and I'll just double every element of this list. Okay, so as I told you, map is used to perform a function, execute a thing to every element of the list. Okay, so lambda and then lambda, and it will take an argument. Oh, sorry, it will take an argument, and this argument will be multiplied with 2, and then I'll pass the list to which we have to do this. and the brackets are okay, yes, and then print new list. Okay, I'll just write here, enter the elements of the list. Okay, and just run this. So enter the elements of the list. I'll just write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, let's just see. So if we assume, then we'll get a print of this list, and then we'll get a list where we'll get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Okay, let's just see. See, we got this 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. So now we'll just end this stream by writing a program. Okay, just writing a program. Remove this, or wait, let's just keep this and make a new file. So this program is pretty simple. Just want to show you the basics. I'll also implement a 2D list here. So for that reason, I'm writing this program. This program is to uh, suppose you have a target, okay, like target of 10, okay, and you have a list. So you just have to print the pairs that sum up to the target, okay. So I'll just write a random name to this file, and then I'll take a first of all I'll take a list, okay, and the list will be map int input and split. So then what? Then I have to take the input from the user to okay, I'll write first enter the elements of the, and then take the input from the user for the target one. Okay, what will be the target? So I'll type first is as int, and then I'll take the input. Okay, done. And then then the answer. Okay, so the answer will be in the form of a list. I want to make it a list. Okay, to show you 2D list, and then I'll take a loop. Okay, I'll take a loop. Okay, yes, I'll take a loop for acha, how to take a loop. Okay, in Java you have done for or Java or C++ or C also equals to 0, then I less than equals to something like the length, okay, the length, and then suppose the length it is list dot length or anything, okay, I'll take it 10, and then I plus plus. You had this, okay. In Python you just have to write for I, okay, the thing that you have to iterate in range. What is the range? In here is to show in which thing you have to iterate. In range you have to write the range here, and we have to write range of the list, so length of my list 1. So to print the pairs, if I just move to the second last thing, it will be enough. So I'll just write -1, and then as it is a block type, we have to we don't need to use the curly braces, we have to do colon, and then I don't have to define this pair variable above. I can just write it here, and pair target. What is my target? And minus of my list 1, the first thing, the first number of my list. Okay, to get the pair. And now I'll just write another loop to check in all in all numbers or elements of the list that this pair is available or not. Okay, so in range from where? From I plus 1. Why I'm doing this? Why I'm doing this is that because if it was before, we would have already found it. So it will obviously be after that uh, element. Okay, so list 1, and now we'll print it. Check it. Sorry, if pair equals to the list 1 j, this j. Okay, and okay, I'll just show you one more thing, that in for loop you can have this change the starting index. Okay, you can starting index you can have 1, or if you have 0 then you don't have to write anything. But if you want to start from a specific position, like I'm starting from I plus 1, then I have to write it like I 1 or 2. And then the range, the last element. Okay, like here I've written the length of my list. And then the iterating pattern, like you want to iterate like from +1 and then +1 and again +1 or +2. So you have to mention that if you want to do +1 every time, then you don't have to write anything. But if you want to do it 2 times, oh sorry, +2 or +3, then you have to write that, like I will write +2. If you want to do +2, then I write that 2, then 3 or 4, anything you want. Okay, remove this. So if my pair is equals to a target, then if I found this pair, then I'll make a 2D list. What I'm thinking is that I'll make a list like this. Okay, and then I'll store the pair here like 2 comma 3, and then again I'll make another pair. Suppose my target is 10. Okay, suppose my target is 10. So if my target is 10, and if I have elements in the list, sorry, in the list like 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so what all the pairs we have, like we have 4 and 6, I can see that. Okay, and we have nothing else. Okay, let's just set it to 7 and 8. Okay, and 9 also. So we'll have 9 and 1, sorry, 1 and 9 firstly. Okay, firstly we'll have 1 and 9, 1 and 9. Then we'll have 2 and 8. Then we'll have 3 and 7, 4 and 6, and only 5 because we don't have any other 5. And then I'll print this the list one by one. Okay, one list. So we'll have the pairs. So just we'll append empty list here. Okay, first we'll append the empty list, and then in that empty list I'll store. So I want to have a index for that. So let's just take a random index a and store it and make it as 0. And then we can have the answer, and then at a position you will append the list 1 element, list 1 I, that we got. And same thing will append to it the pair. Then we'll increase the value of the a to 1, and then to check. Okay, that is running low. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay, hello, we are back. So I'll just finish this and I just want to check that if we have entered this block or not. Then I'll just make a flag named, take it as a default value, sorry, default value false, and then I'll just make it true if we have entered this block, like equals to true. And then we'll just break if we got this. Okay. I'll not prefer moving again and again. If I've got this, then we'll not prefer doing that. And then just check if my flag that we have entered those that block, if we have got that, then we'll get the flag as true. So then we'll print the elements. Okay, how to print? For the list in, for each list in answer, for each list in answer, I'll print that list. Okay. Or else if we have not got, if we have flag as false, then we will never enter this block. Okay, because if we enter this block our flag would have been true. So then I'll print, sorry, then I'll print that no pair found. Okay, I'll just prefer writing here the pairs are. Okay, so okay, I'll just remove this and this. So let's just run and see what happens. Okay, it tells me to enter the list elements. So I'll write randomly 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay. And target I'll write 10. So the pairs are 1 and 9 and 3 and 7. So I'll just check. 1 and 9 gives me 10. 3 and 9 gives me 3 and 7. So 3 and 7 gives me 10. We have 5, but we don't have another 5 to make it a pair. And yes, we have solved it. So that's all for today. I hope you have learned something from this, and I think please bear with me the mistakes I've done in this stream, and yeah, get back to us to the next stream. The next stream will be hosted by Chagar Singh. He will show you the roadmap of ML and showcase some of his projects and tell you how to get started with machine learning. And then I'll just come back with my web development. Like I'll start with HTML, CSS. I'll complete them, I think, in one stream only, and then move to JavaScript and all. Okay. So thank you for if you have watched the whole lot of 1 hour speaking gibberish and all things. Thank you, and I'll just play a music at the last, so you can not this. Okay. Okay. I'll just play music. Thank you. Complete this music. You should complete this music. Okay, so thank you and bye. Have a good day or night.